Ruth Kerr was born on March 8, 1916 in Windsor, Ontario. She passed away on June 17, 1974 in London, Ontario. Ruth was the eldest daughter of Gordon and Vivian Kerr of Windsor. She had two younger siblings, Gordon and Doris. Her first swimming experience took place at the family cottage in Honey Harbor, Georgian Bay in the 1920s. There, she regularly competed in swimming and diving events at the annual Delawana Inn regattas. After the Border City Swimming Club was formed in Windsor, Detroit in 1930, largely through the efforts of her parents, Ruth and her siblings began the intensive training regimens that resulted in all three of them becoming accomplished swimmers. Dad was the coach and also refereed at swim meets held at the club's facilities. Mom saw to the administrative side of the organization by looking after staff members, selecting meet dates, looking after publicity, and generally fulfilling most other secretarial duties. At the time, this club was the largest swim club in Canada. While attending Windsor's Kennedy Collegiate, Ruth swam for the Clippers in the early 1930s. The high school team was coached by Grace Hamilton. The Kennedy pool was all of 60 feet long. It was host to the International Century Canadian Championships in 1930, and Ruth won the 100-yard backstroke. Her team competed in 1931 and 1932 WASA Championships. In 1931, Ruth set 5 Canadian records at a meet held at Kennedy Collegiate. In the 300-yard freestyle, she finished in a time of 4:05.4, 5.6 seconds faster than the Canadian women's record of the time held by Irene Peary of Toronto. She also established 4 new junior girls Canadian records in the 200, the 220, the 300, and the 440-yard freestyle. Ruth went on to win the Canadian Junior Backstroke title and was one of the top finishers in the first CNE marathon race in which she placed second in 1931. Ruth held many Ontario and Canadian records. The official publication of the Canadian Amateur Swimming Association, The Swimmer, considered Ruth Kerr, a 16-year-old Kennedy Collegiate student, to be Canada's leading woman swimmer in 1932. In 1932, Ruth competed in the Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles. The cost was $200 to cover her expenses for the Games, and the money was raised by a special committee in Windsor headed by Ray Noble. Ruth represented Canada in 3 events, thus becoming the first Windsor-born athlete to participate in these prestigious games. At the age of 16 years and 156 days, Ruth was the youngest participant for Canada in those games. Only the men's team was housed at the Olympic Village. The 200 ladies had to stay at the Chapman Park Hotel. Coach Tommy Walker decided that Ruth was going to be a member of the 4x100 meter freestyle relay team, which finished 4th in a time of 5:05.7. Ruth swam the 3rd leg on this relay, which was led by Irene Peary, followed by Irene Mullen, and anchored by Betty Edwards. Her other events were the 400 free and the 100 meter backstroke. The 4th place showing remained intact until the 1968 Mexico Olympics, where Canada earned a bronze medal in the 4x100 meter free relay. It is noteworthy that Tommy Walker, Irene Peary, and Betty Edwards are also alumni of the Ontario Aquatic Hall of Fame. After the 1932 Summer Olympics, Ruth gave up competitive swimming, but like her brother Gordon, who represented Canada at the 1936 Olympic Games in Berlin, she taught swimming at the Border City Swimming Club. She could not afford to go to university, but having already graduated from Kennedy Collegiate at the age of 16, she was able to start teacher training at the Toronto Normal School. Ruth began her elementary school teaching career in Windsor in 1933 and finished around 1950. She married Robert Todd in 1948. The couple had 4 children, Kathy, Carrie, Bobby, and Christy. The family spent most summers on Powwow Island in Honey Harbor, where Ruth, a stay-at-home mom, taught all her children to swim. 2 of them became lifeguards, and all of them became avid water skiers. Ruth's hobbies included swimming, embroidery, baking, watching hockey and figure skating, and following Canadian politics. In the 1960s, Ruth was interviewed and photographed with Marilyn Bell because both women had swum in Lake Ontario during the Canadian National Exhibition in Toronto. On September 12, 1987, Ruth was inducted into the Essex County Sports Hall of Fame. This ceremony was attended by her 3 daughters, who were all living in Ontario at the time. Ruth's brother, Gordon Kerr, was also inducted in 1994. Ruth's son, Bobby, continues to live in Calgary, Alberta. Ruth's eldest daughter, Kathy, has lived in California for 20 years. Her youngest daughter, Christy, passed away in 2003. Ruth's second daughter, Carrie, and family live in Waterloo, Ontario. The Ontario Aquatic Hall of Fame is pleased to induct posthumously Ruth Kerr as a pioneer athlete.